dirty. And we do have... Wow!
Oh no!
You gotta be kidding
Oh
me.
my goodness!
After a qualifying session to start Jeffrey Finguy scored pole position, it's time for the main event. Only 10 races remain in the season, and it's round 1 of the playoffs. Who will be starting the playoffs on a good note, and most importantly, who will be kissing the yellow bricks at the end of the 42 laps? Only time will tell. As we come live here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for round 23 of the 2025 PSRLA Cup Series, the NRSC08 Design 400. Hello everybody, my name is Alex Vitale. Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and yeah, only 10 races remain in the 2025 season, and this is the first race of the playoffs. And as I stated, due to the news that I've mentioned yesterday in qualifying, that the 2025 the PSRLA will be disbanding at the end of the 2025 season. These are, for its purposes, the final 10 races of the PSRLA's existence. So let's see if these drivers are going to make a good championship for the what is now basically the farewell season of the PSRLA. And as you can see from the screens, Jeffrey Finguy is starting to go pole position once again, the current leader of the playoffs, thanks to his 4 wins on the season. Alongside it will be Zane Davidson, who I believe is the second driver with the most wins at 2, alongside Bryce Egan. And then in third will be Jonathan Carrison, and then we got Nathan Stapleton, himself the second winningest driver with 3 wins, and of course second in the playoff standings. And basically there are 7 playoff drivers in the top 10, plus another surprising result. Well, I'm not going to say surprising because you saw how quick the Division Motorsports car have been this entire year. But still, a really solid effort from part-time driver Skep Silver, who will be starting in 7th. And of course Tom Sloan and Avery Alford, who was already running at the top 10, respectively in 9th and 10th. And of course, just staying outside of the top 10, we got Zachary Fitzwater, who is the current leader of the Racing for Glory Championship, just ahead of Tom Sloan and Avery Alford. And of course, Ryan Little, Anderson Jr., Kevin Gutierrez, and Brendan Beal. But yeah, there's we got 32 laps ahead of us for the NRSC08 400, and of course, as we stated, in case you missed the qualifying or did not see the announcement, I might as well remind you that at the end of the 2025 season, the PSRLA will be closing its doors. Because, to put it simply, I'm not willing to run races anymore after this year is done, and I'm not willing to run the PSRLA. And of course, here Joe left the presidency of the PSRLA in May of this year of 2025. And of course, we're going to find a replacement. So, as I stated earlier, these are the final 10 races of the PSRLA's existence. We will try, of course, to finish the season, and have a normal champion. To which this guy in pole position, as we stated, for so many times, desperately wants to be the one to actually host the cup at year's end, for reasons that I mentioned so many times. But yeah. There's virtually pretty much nothing else to be said other than, guess what, folks? It's time for racing.
Drivers, start your engines!
The command has been given. These cars will roll on any second now. And here they are. As for qualifying, Jeffrey Finguy will start on pole position. Alongside it will be Zane Davidson. Then it's going to be Jonathan Carrison, Nathan Stapleton, Gary Movendale, Roger Fogelman, Skep Silver, Robert Crown Jr., Tom Sloan, and Avery Alpha rounding out the top 10. As for other playoff drivers, Philip Torres will start in 18th, Andrew Williams in 19th, Bryce Egan in 20th, Troy Williams Jr. in 26th. And Leonard Carson will be starting in 12th. Of course, the playoffs drivers are noted by the pink banner they got. In the meantime, something is wrong, and well. And we already have a DNF before the race has even started. William Donuts has blown his engine, and he's already. We have already our first DNF of the race. And we already have our first DNF of the race, and the race hasn't even started. So, yeah. As the pace car goes through the J.R. Hildebrand corner. If you know, you know. And it's going to pull into the pits. Jeffrey Finguy and Zane Davidson, 2 Fords, will lead us to the green flag here in Indianapolis. And let the playoffs begin. The green flag is in the air. We're away at Indianapolis. And we already have a battle for the lead as Nathan Stapleton is going to lead lap number 1, followed by Guillermo Vidal. Then it's Jonathan Carrison. There is Davidson going on the inside of Finguy. Finguy gets bogged down. Frugo Silva as well. Maybe Tom Sloan as well. They're side by side into the backstretch, and Sloan does clear the 41 car. Maybe Fitzwater is gonna have a chance at overtaking his teammate, and into 3 and 4 they go. Fitzwater looks like the advantage of the Finguy still has it, but no, Finguy has the better exit off of turn 4 into the main straight, as Justin Perez goes side by side with Lara Koshmar and potentially even Richie Fogelman, as there's Avery Alford battling battling with Fitzwater on the outside. He tries on the inside of the straight line driver as long goes through Skep Silver. There goes Davidson on the inside of Carrison. Carrison's gonna block shut the door on Davidson. As these 4 guys are already forming a big gap. 1 second is the gap. 1 second is the gap between these 4 guys and Sloan. There goes Carrison. Goes Davidson on the inside of Carrison, and looks like he's gotten it. They're side by side in the main straight. As Stapleton keeps leading, Carrison has the better straight line speed, but does Davidson have to answer? No, actually, yes, he does. There it goes. Davidson has the better cornering though, and gets the 3rd. And now Tom Sloan is going to get advantage of the momentum. Good to go through his teammate. And now maybe Skep Silver as well is going to take a piece of that. Being helped by his other teammate, Avery Alford, and of course, Jeffrey Finguy. Jeffrey Finguy has had a terrible start and now desperately needs to catch back to the leading duo of Nathan Stapleton and Guillermo Vidal. Vidal missed his 2nd place for a very long time before he finally got his first win. Of course, the winner, the champion of the regular season by 15 points, clear of Stapleton himself. As the two are right now, it's basically the Nathan and Garrett show right now. Is the NNG show. As Carrison loses another spot, loses 2 spots from Crown and Fitzwater. Lost position to Paris. Now it looks like they're going to lose to Torres. Right now, Carrison is in hemorrhaging positions right now. As now Alford has a look to the inside of Finguy, but too far away to try a serious overtake. And back at top, Morbidello is glued to the rear of the 79 car. Can he try an overtake? He's trying for a timid move, but no, it looks like he's going to settle behind the 79 car for one more lap as Stapleton leads lap number 5. He has led every single lap As there goes Alfred through Finguy and maybe Koshmar as well. Koshmar does clear the 41 car, and now Perez looks to have that is going to take a piece of that pie, and he does. So Finguy, a turbo start of the race for the defending champion and current leader of the playoffs. There's Morbidello. He tries on the inside of Stapleton. He tries to force the issue, but that's gonna help him because Davidson is gonna go. He's gonna attack him himself. And it looks like Davidson should be taking second place, and in fact he does. They're still side by side, but now Davidson manages to take second place away from Morbidello. Now he puts the side on Stapleton. Stapleton has put a bit of a safety gap, put a safety gap between himself and Davidson, using that battle between Morbidello and Davidson to do so. Although how long that will last, it's I would say not much, as Finguy goes through Skep Silver. In fact, that didn't last very long at all because Davidson is pretty much on attacking distance from Stapleton. In fact, it does. He tries on the inside. That remains straight. Can he stick the landing? As Stapleton, ooh, they two make contact. The two make more contact, and Davidson's gonna barge his way into the lead. And now Morbidello is going to take advantage of that. And Morbidello goes up to second. Stapleton loses 3 positions. Now Davidson leads the way. Can he pull away from these two? Of course, only time will tell. But right now he's got the safety gap between himself and Morbidello and the duo behind him. As there's Alford on the inside of Sloan. Let's go still behind as the Koshmar defends from Perez. But in the meantime, there goes Stapleton on the inside of Morbidello into one and two, but Morbidello is going to shut the door as Morbidello is glued to the rear of the 51 car. So he's definitely going to try an attack, maybe now. As Finguy is still battling with Alfred, and is quite a few. He's got a little bit of distance from the next car, which is Laura Koshmar. There goes Stapleton on the inside, but too far away. Morbidello easily defends, and of course, it's good news for Zane Davidson. Davidson is going to lead lap number 9 and start lap number 10. Morbidello is in second. Then is Stapleton. We got a Ford, Chevrolet, and Toyota in the first 3 places. As now Alfred is still battling with Finguy. Finguy simply cannot get rid of Alfred. And Alfred's going to take the spot, and so does Perez. Into 2. Perez is going to clear the 41 car. Maybe Koshmar is going to get a piece of that pie as well. He's going to take it's going to advantage of the momentum. He's close enough to attack. But of course, actually no, that's not Koshmar, that's Roberto Crown Jr., sorry. In fact, there goes an attack on the inside of Finguy. They help to buy Fitzwater. But Finguy is going to defend, There goes Silver on the inside of Fitzwater, but Fitzwater defends. They're side by side between Koshmar and Sloan. But Sloan has the straight line speed. In fact, he says by the 43 car, there goes Alfred. Alfred is going to take advantage of that. He says thank you very much. So does Perez. And Alfred is up 1 more place and now puts his side on Tom Sloan as Perez clears Koshmar. Maybe so does Finguy and maybe Crown as well. Let's see if Crown can overtake Koshmar into 3 and 4. And the answer looks to be not yet. They're still side by side. Into JR Aldebaran corner and nothing. Koshmar is putting a bigger fight than Crown was expecting. Right now Koshmar has the straight line speed. He clears the 37 car. But now Crown is watching himself from Fitzwater and Skip Silver. But he's going to defend pretty nice. He's going to defend pretty nicely. But they're going to defend pretty nicely. There goes Silver on the inside of Fitzwater. In the meantime, there's Carrison. These guys are going so fast that Carrison is almost 6 seconds away from Skill Silver for just how fast the top 10 is going, how quick the top 10 is going. As Stapleton managed to get rid of Guillermo Vidal, and now splitting his sides back to Davidson. There goes Alford on the inside of Sloan, but Sloan is going to defend. And now Sloan puts a safety gap between himself and the 23 car. As Finguy is slowly catching up to Justin Paris, and Kajmar is catching up to Finguy himself. Finguy is glued to the rear of that 17 Ford for Smart Motorsports. Kajmar tries on a timid move on Finguy, but he's going to settle behind. He's going to settle behind the 41 car, the 41 Durrani car in the meantime. But as up front, Movedel has cut up back to Stapleton, and looks like he's going for an attack as Davidson is going to lead this lap and have a little safety gap to avoid any possible attacks. Unless Stapleton goes for a dive bomb, but that's unlikely. And in the meantime, these three are pulling away from Sloan. Almost a second and 1.1 seconds is the gap between these three and Sloan. As you see, the Crown is battling with Finguy. Crown goes through. This is for 6th place, I believe. No. Actually, I think this is for 6th place, I think. But in the meantime, Moedella has cut up once again to Stapleton. He's pretty much has been glued to the rear of the Toyota for so many laps, but still hasn't found a chance to overtake. As RB Gardner runs up the rear of the field, the 2 PS Motorsports car ran up the rear of the field. That is Gene Stamelli, Hunter Mendoza, and Duncan Ward, and Denny Johnson. Ooh boy! Oh my God! There's Crown involved, Fingers involved, Sloan is involved, and of course we're gonna get a caution. Oh, please slow down, please slow down, please slow down! Okay. Everybody has slowed down, fortunately, and no more ooh! Oh boy, okay. Something's going on. Davenport got involved in that crash. There's the pace car. What is Ayers going to do? Ayers, William, what the hell was that all about? And he is out of the race. Ayers is out of the race. You saw there Neely has damage. Sashtra has damage. Mendoza has damage. Ward has damage. Haas has damage. So does Sashtra has the Monaco has damage. There's more chaos happening. Now Miller has damage. That's everybody. Ooh. There's more chaos. So this time involved with the pace car. As Evans squeezes through Miller and Gutierrez. What in God's green earth just happened in all these moments? But now we got a lot of cars that have to pit for damage. As Ayers, as we stated, is out of the race. And of course the leaders are going to pit. Now because of pit stop shenanigans, now everybody's basically lapped down. But of course I would expect the things to settle themselves down pretty easily. There goes Troy Williams Jr. There's Bryce Segan, who almost makes contact with the leaders. As now they're going to settle into the pit boxes. Fogelman also has damage. Fogelman turns into a modified because of all the stuff that has just happened. So we got quite a replay to look forward to, folks. Of course, 4 tires and fuel for everybody. There's Finguy. Ooh. And okay. And now Silver is out of the race. Silver will be retiring from the race. Miller is also a modified car. Carson Miller also with a modified car. And as the field catches up, let's see the replay to see what caused the first caution of the race. Caution number 1. We're looking at Tom Sloan, who's trying to get into the line, but Alford is right there. I guess he didn't see him. Alford sends him into a spin and right into the barriers pretty heavily, both front and rear, and Sloan slides in the middle of the track. He's gonna make contact with Koshmar as well as Crown, Finguy and Silver, and of course also Fitzwater gets involved in the melee. Koshmar manages to get out with light damage basically, but plenty of damage to all these cars, and Skip Silver suffered the most of it, as there's the rest of the field coming up hot. There's Keys, there's Torres, there's Williams, there's Anderson Jr. Pretty much everybody, of course, is diving for cover. But for intents and purposes, all these drivers can continue on racing, except, unfortunately, Skip Silver. Watching it in real time, there goes Alford on the inside. Sloan does not see him. Into the barriers, Sloan goes. There's the contact. Several cars involved. Plenty of damages as the field is coming up hot. And look at what's going to happen very soon. Bit of a checkup. Alford gets, so there in the background. Davenport gets involved. Mendoza gets involved. Dr. Ward gets involved. And also, you saw there, Jeffrey Finguy and Andrew Williams having also a moment themselves, and there's Williams flipping as well. There's also Williams there's flipping, and of course that spells the end for Ayers' flip. So we're gonna have plenty of damaged cars here on this caution. Of course, we're also going to take a look at the flip of Ayers. Ayers pretty much goes way too hot into Williams, then crashes into Miller. Miller said this enough to completely flip over Ayers, and of course the car lands on his roof, and that's an immediate DNF for William Ayers. And amazingly enough, the chaos is not yet finished, because and Gutierrez, as they're checking out, everybody's checking out for the pace car. And Gutierrez does not see Carson Miller, or the Carson Miller does not see and Gutierrez, and they crash into each other as Luke Evans squeezes past between the two. So that was indeed a moment of all time. And with that, see you trackside. And we're back live here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the NRSC08 Designs 400 at the Brickyard. We're coming out of the caution, and our top 10 currently is Jeff is Zane Davidson, Nathan Stapleton, Gary Movedell, Avery Alford, Justin Perez, Blaine Keys, Philip Torres, Al Anderson Jr., Andrew Williams, and the 67 Brendan Beal. As for the DNFs, we have Skip Silver, Leonard Koshmar, Tom Sloan, Ginny Stamelio, Hunter Mendoza, and William Ayers. And of course, William Donuts would even partake in the race because his engine blew up at the formation lap. Now, of course, all the lap cars are finally going to give the go through to all the lead lap cars as they go side by side. Actually, I have no idea if the PSRLA is going to give the green flag for this, because Blink Keys is so far behind. And I don't think they will not be able to catch up to them as they go through JR Hildebrand corner. And the pace car pulls into the pits. Is this going to be a green flag? They're about to catch up. Are they going to make this one count? And there's also such stripe blowing up, I think. And they're gonna make a count. We're back on the green. And Stapleton looks like he's gonna get a good launch off the line. And in fact, he is ahead by just a half a car. And now Stapleton officially takes the lead. We help from Avery Alford and Blaine Keys, but it looks like Alford is trying to take the lead for himself. Unless Blaine Keys has anything to say about it, but Stapleton is in the lead. Alford is going to be second. There's Blaine Keys. Finally, we actually mentioned Blaine Keys in the top 10, who really should have been a much more common sight than Blaine Keys in the top 10. If not in the top 10, should have been a much more common sight. But in the meantime, these two guys are pulling away from the Solaritas driver. There goes Alford for the lead on the inside of Stapleton into 1 and 2. And can Alford make it stick? Yes, he does. Avery Alford up in the lead. Stapleton going to drop to second, maybe drop down to third if Keys is going to make a move. But no, he's going to settle behind the 79 car. Too far away to try and overtake anyway. As there's Anderson Jr. There goes Davidson on the inside of Anderson. 8 to 3 and 4. And they almost make contact. I believe they actually made contact, but I don't know. That was a weird camera angle, but they were pretty close. They almost made contact. They were really close to making contact if they didn't. But in the meantime, there's Movadell trying to overtake Davidson. Actually, no, he's dealing with Anderson first, and maybe Davidson. No, Davidson's gonna shut the door on the one car, but he got through Anderson. Paris tried to do the same thing too, but Anderson shut the door. As we missed the pass for the lead. Stapleton back in the lead of the race with 11 laps to go. We're coming, actually no, 12 and a half laps to go. No, 11 and a half laps to go actually. There goes Blaine Keys for second place on the inside of Alford. And Keys looks like he's going to take the place. Maybe. But no, Alford has the better straight line speed. There goes Davidson on the inside of the team is the Solaritas. But looks like Keys actually going to be a detriment to Davidson because there goes Movadell on the inside of the 51 car. And there goes. Movadell passes Davidson, and so does Keys. There we go. Movadell up at the third place. As Anderson defends from both Justin Perez and Davidson, as Perez goes through Davidson. And now Stapleton is pulling away from Alford. There's still plenty of battling here. There goes Perez on the inside, on the inside of Davidson. There's Carrison with on the inside, passing Williams. So those Torres and maybe Alexander Rowe. Finally, I mentioned Alexander Rowe. This isn't the first time we mentioned Alexander Rowe this entire race. But in the meantime, there goes Carrison. Through goes Carrison on Perez. So does Torres and Rowe. And maybe Williams as well. Yes, there we go. Maybe Roberto Chrome Jr. has something to say about it as well. In the meantime, Alfred is looking pretty fast, but Movadell is way faster. As Movadell takes second place away from the Vision Motorsports driver. Gavin Movadell up into second place and now back on the hunt for Nathan Stapleton. As the Staple completes lap number 24 and starts lap number 25. Then is Alford, Keys, Anderson, and Davidson. Then we got Carrison, Torres, and Alexander Rowe, and Andrew Williams running at the top 20, the top 10. And actually, where is Jeffrey Finguy? Finguy is stuck in 16th. He's the last of the lead lap cars. In the meantime, yeah, almost 16 cars on the lead lap with plenty of DNFs. Almost on par with, I'd say, Dover. Actually, at least. Somewhat, at least a similar, or at least a very at the NF listed, it's pretty similar to ones we saw at Dover. I saw there Morbidelli tried for a teaming move on the inside of Stapleton, but thought better of it. As Davidson goes through his teammate in Anderson. In fact, it does. Now he's gotta pass another teammate, that being Keys. Keys with a 2025 season to, as I stated in qualifying, a 2025 season to forget for Keys. Pretty much a non-factor in not only the PSRLA Cup Series, but also in the Volvo Cup Series. In the meantime, there goes Morbidelli for the lead on the inside of Stapleton, 2, 3, 4. Can Morbidelli make it stick into J.R. Haldeman corner? And he does. And even Morbidelli up into first place. Unless Stapleton has something to say about it. And the answer looks to be no, because Morbidelli is going to lead the lap. Or should I say more, if Avery Alford has anything to say about it. But no, Morbidelli is going to shut the door. He's going to shut the door on the 23 car. But now he's going to leave it open. Can Alford take advantage of that? He does not, as Stapleton drops down to 4th because Davidson also overtook him. Gary Morbidelli up in the lead here in Indianapolis. Then is Alford, then is Davidson, then is Stapleton and Anderson. Is Chevrolet, Ford, Toyota, and Ford, the top 5. That is Keys, Carrison, Torres, and Rowe. And then quite far ahead there is Andrew Williams and Justin Perez. As Morbidelli completes lap number 27, starts lap number 28. And there goes Davidson on the inside of Alford for second. And Davidson is going to make it short notice of the 23 car. The inside line has been absolutely killer here. The outside line has been an absolute disaster for this race. But Davidson now has got his sights set on the Polish driver in the lead. As Stapleton looks like he's catching up to the 23 car, and maybe also Ali Anderson Jr. By the way, great result for Ali Anderson Jr. In the meantime, if can they keep up 5th, keep up the spot they're in right now. Of course, depends if any of these guys are going to be any faster. But in the meantime, Stapleton tried on a timid move on the inside of Alford, but thought better of it. Into the backstretch they go, and none of them are gonna try anything. Pretty much everybody is single file, well, except for Jeffrey Finguy dealing with Merrick Monaco and Denny Johnson. But in the meantime, back up front we go. As now Davidson is glued to the rear of the checker flag number 1 car. There goes for the lead. Davidson on the inside of Morbidelli. Lap number 20 with 3 laps to go. And Davidson is going to take it. Yes. And Alford is going to take 2nd place. He does. Can Stapleton take 3rd place? Actually, no. Morbidelli is going to battle Alford for 2nd place. But Alford's got the straight line speed. And is going to shut the door. And actually, no. Morbidelli goes wide. It's going to allow Stapleton through, and maybe Anderson. Anderson almost brushes the wall, but Stapleton goes through. As Anderson enters the pits, so Anderson does not have enough. So maybe Anderson has a problem. But in the meantime, 2 laps to go here in Indianapolis. Zane Davidson leads. 2nd is Avery Alford. Then is Gary Morbidelli and Nathan Stapleton. Then is Philip Torres, Alexander Rowe, Joshua Harrison, and Blaine Keys. That is Troy Williams Jr. and Anthony Nicol. Running up the top 10. In the meantime, more drivers are pitting. So either they do not have enough fuel to make it, but in the meantime, across the line, Davidson goes. White flag, 1 lap to go for Zane Davidson. As Gary Morbidelli looks to try and take away 2nd place at the final moment from Alford. Of course, thanks to this, the lap car list is gonna be massive. As Movedell goes through Alford, so does Stapleton, although not by much. Actually, Alford still is ahead of the 79 car, but now Davidson has to watch from left cars. First from Perez, then from Anderson, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Around J. Aldeburn corner, Zane Davidson goes, and Zane Davidson is going to start the playoffs in the best way possible. Zane Davidson wins at Indianapolis. Second will be Garrett Movedell. Third will be Avery Alford, who won his battle against Nathan Stapleton. Then it's going to be Philip Torres, Jonathan Karras, and Blaine Keys. Finally, a top 10 for Blaine Keys. A good result for Blaine Keys on a, what has been, as I stated, a very, very bad year for Blaine Keys overall. Then 8th should be, according to the ticker, 8th should be Jeffrey Finguy. Then it's Alexander Roy in 9th, and then Ali Anderson Jr. in 5th. Also, big shout outs to Ali Anderson Jr., top 10 finishing position. So the lap car list is going to look pretty massive, thanks to basically half the field except for the leaders pitting. Actually, no, basically almost everybody except the top 7 drivers pitted. And so Zane Davidson wins the NRSC08 400 at the Brickyard. Second will be Garrett Movedell. Third is going to be Avery Alford. Great result for Alford. Then will be Nathan Stapleton, Philip Torres, Jonathan Karras, and Blaine Keys. Great result for Blaine Keys. Jeffrey Finguy in 8th, Alexander Rowe in 9th, and Ali Anderson Jr. runs up the top 10. And thanks to that pit stop shenanigans, 10 cars only on the lead lap. Virtually everybody on the lead, from 11th to 28th, 1 lap down. Then we got Denny Johnson, Jack Haas, Duncan Ward, and Carson Miller, 2 laps down. And also the DNF list, pretty impressive as well, with Skep Silver, Carlos Salstroy, Lana Koshmar, Tom Sloan, Janice Nevada, Hunter Mendoza, and William Ayers out. And of course, William Donuts that did not even start the race. So, first and foremost, I'm surprised that we only got 1 caution this entire race. With how fast everybody was going, I am honestly shocked we only got 1 caution. Okay, 1 caution, and that caused a lot of carnage. But still, only 1 caution. I'm generally surprised. About that. As for the race itself, yeah, it was a really, really good race. It was a really good race. Plenty of battles for the lead, plenty of battles for position, all around the field, and of course, plenty of battles for the lead as well. And of course, Zane Davidson taking the win with 3 laps to go. Even the lap cars were not a factor here, but yeah, that was a really solid race. And Of course, now Davidson has very likely that Davidson is going to take the lead of the playoffs, and of course, this is an easy jab to make, but regardless of what happens, this is going to be better than the Cup Series, than the real life Cup Series race that at the it is going to be better than the real life NASCAR Cup race, but yeah. Now, with all that being said, let's check out the standings after the race. And we're back live here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the NRSC08 Designs 400 that has just finished. In terms of championship standings, as predicted, Zane Davidson takes the lead of the standings. Now, 3 wins tied with Nathan Stapleton, who's in 2nd. Jeffrey Finguy drops down to 3rd. Garrett Movedell is in 4th. Then it's Philip Torres, Jonathan Karras, Andrew Williams, Will Crown Jr., Troy Williams Jr., Bryce Higgins, Reggie Fogelman, and Lana Koshmar is the last of the playoff drivers. And Fitzwater still keeps being the leader of the best of the rest, when they racing for Color crowd. 25 points clear of Alford, then who overtakes Tom Sloan, who's now 15th. Then Italian Edison Jr., Ryan Little, Luke Evans, Uncle Gutierrez, and Brendan Beal rounding out the top 20 overall. But yeah, great race as we stated, and the next race should be, and I think the next race should be Watkins Glen, if I'm not being mistaken. Let me check it out real quick. I think it should be Watkins Glen. No, it's actually going to be at Iowa. At Iowa on August 1st. The race at Iowa, I remember last year, Herja and I doing that race, and it was a really nightmare of a race to make. So let's hope that this year is going to be a little bit more kind to me and for some of my sanity. But yeah, actually speaking of Watkins Glen, I believe, where is Watkins Glen? Oh, it's just right, it's just before Iowa. So yeah. Actually, let me check. Actually, might as well say the entire playoff calendar. We did Indianapolis. Next week is going to be Iowa. Then we got Watkins Glen, Richmond, the return to Daytona, then Darlington, then Gateway, Talladega, New Hampshire, which was supposed to be this is a finale, and then we got the new season finale at North Wilkesboro on September 26th. So yeah, plenty of short tracks here at the for the playoffs, and yeah, it's going to be really exciting what's going to happen in this 9 remaining races. But from here in Indianapolis, it's everything. This has been a special presentation of the 2025 PSRLA Cup Series 44/7 Network. I'm Alex Vitale, and join us next week for round 24 of the championship at Iowa Speedway. So, like everybody, from Indianapolis, congratulations again to Zane Davidson.